Thanks for joining me. This lab session is entitled Improving Script Execution Overview Lab. This lab exercise is intended to ensure you understand the flexibility in JMeter to run command line requests as an alternative to the GUI mode. Here is the plan for this lab. First, we'll run a JMeter test from command line. Then we'll run another test from command line to generate reports. And the third time we're going to run a command line request just to generate reports, not to actually run the test again. Let me start you with the script. Here is the script we're going to use. It's named perftest1.jmx, and it's located in the JMeter scripts folder. We're going to go there momentarily. But before we do that, I want you to see that in the GUI mode, we were pointing to this output file for JMeter. When this test ran, we would send the performance data into this .jtl file. We're going to do the same thing for this test, but we're running from the command line instead of in the GUI mode. Let's do that. I'm going to minimize this. I want to go to that area, show you where it is. There it is, perftest1.jmx. So we're going to need to point to that, but we also are going to need to point to the JMeter bin directory as well. So let's do one at a time. Let's go to the bin directory, and you'll notice in the bin directory there's the JMeter program. That's what we're going to run in the command line mode. You'll see that momentarily. And further down we see an existing perftest1.jtl file because of the last time we ran that test. We pointed to this location and created this file. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to overlay this file with new performance data information from the new test run. Now, we're going to capture this file path, our directory path, and I'm going to minimize that, and we want the command file. I have a command file, command prompt open. We want to change the directory to the bin directory. All right, now it points there. Let's go back and get the script directory. We're going to need that. JMeter scripts, and this is where the perftest1.jmx file is. I'm going to capture this file path, minimize that. Now, what we do is we are going to create a statement JMeter-n-t point to the script directory with the script name, and then point to where we want the result file, which by default it's going to be in the bin directory. Now, let's do that. So minimize this, and remember all that we need to type in. So we start with JMeter and -n-t, then we want quote, there's the path, and the script name is perftest1.jmx. JMX quote dash L, and we want perf test 1 dot JTL, and that should do it. So this is the format, JMeter -N-T, we're pointing to the script, and -L is pointing to the result file. This is where it's going to go by default, without putting it in the quotes with the path. It's going to go to the bin directory. If we specified somewhere else, it would go somewhere else. But we're going to go with this approach because that's what we did before. We press the enter key. And we can see some input coming back, creating the summary file. And we are done. End of run. So we should have a new perfTest1.jtl file. Now, this is what was necessary in order to create that output file. We can use that JTL file, and in order to do that, I'm going to have to show you that we're going to skip this one and then do this one so that we get the output of that JTL file. The next time we're going to do it all in one run. So instead of doing it in two separate command requests, we'll do it in a single command request. So I'm just doing this one, at the third one, as the second one, if you follow what I'm saying here. So I'm going to take this format with the -G and specify where the JTL file is, or just specify the JTL file, and specify an output folder, not a file name, but a folder for -O. So -G and -O. We did this before, but I'm trying to make sure that you follow and make sense out of what we're doing when we're doing the command line request. So our first command line request was to create the result file from the test. We ran the test. We don't need to run the test again. In this case, we're just going to take that result file and produce reports from it. -G and -O. JMeter -G, and we're pointing to the perfTest1.jtl -O, and we're pointing to output folder 2. I'm pretty sure that name doesn't exist. It needs to be a folder name that doesn't exist, and it should go under the bin directory. Let's see if that works. And we should be done. If we go to, we're going to go and look for the output folder 2 directory. Let's see if we can find that. We're going under JMeter, the bin directory we're looking for. And here's the bin directory, and here's that output folder 2. And so we open that output folder 2, and we see all the data, output data that JMeter created or generated from the report file, the JTL file. And here should be the main HTML file. Double click on that. And here we are. So we see the start and stop time. And we see dashboard, charts, custom graphs. This is the normal APEX or APDEX application performance index reporting. And we see some information regarding the particular transactions that will run. We see that data. We're not going to get into all of the detail about that. It would take too much time. But basically, we ran a test that was going against several websites, Google websites, as well as Amazon, eBay, and Home Depot. And we got some results. If we go back up here to the dashboard, we'll see some additional results. Here we have the average response time for all these various transactions. I'm going a little quickly, just want to run through this with you. We've got the overtime report. We have more detail here, response time over time, response time percentiles over time, active threads over time, good information, latency information, and so on. There is just a plethora of data here, if you don't mind me saying, and plenty of information to go through and review to analyze what happened in that particular test run. And we're not ready to start doing that, but we wanted to make sure you can see how easily it is to run a test and then create the output from that test output, graphs and charts that are fairly easy to understand. And there's some custom graphs further down here, response time overview, and so on. All right, I don't want to take up too much time to do this. So what we did, I'll close that. We created this output folder in the bin directory. Easy enough. We could have pointed it somewhere else, but this was simple enough. But we can put a full path and enclose it in quotes, and JMeter would honor that and locate the outputs where you desire. We not only did that, but we created a JTL file. We still should see that in here. There it is. It's still there. We overlaid the existing one. It didn't ask you if you want to overlay it. It just goes ahead and does that. Now, when you create an output folder, that is supposed to be brand new. It will challenge you if you try to create a folder that already exists. So be aware of that. To avoid that questioning, just make sure you're creating something in a new subfolder or somewhere where it does not exist. That concludes this part of the lab. Now, according to this list of commands, the first command we ran just ran the script, ran the test, and outputted data, performance data, to a result file. The second command we ran took that result file and created an output folder with reports. This time we're going to run a similar command where we first run the test, output the results, and then output the reports. Let's see how that works. Let's go back to the command file, and I'm going to use the up arrow to bring back the first command request. That's the one where we had the -n, -t, and we pointed to the script and created perftest1.jtl. We'll add to that -e-o, and then what we had for output, we'll use output folder 3. We know we created an output folder 2. This time we're going to create output folder 3. Let's press the enter key and start the test. We should start seeing information. We see an error in non-GUI driver is not empty. It says results file perftest.jtl is not empty. Okay. So let's do this. Let's create a different JTL file. Let's call it 2. And there we are. We're going to start this process again. And we should be on our way now. The test should be running. We see more output. We see end of run. Now, let's take a look at the output folder 3 and see if we got information we were expecting. Minimize this. Minimize this. And this. Let's go to output folder 3. There it is. There is the generated output. Point to the index.html, double click, and here's the output. We see a similar kind of information that we saw before. Just going to scroll through it fairly quickly again. No errors. We had 53 samples. Charts. We have all the overtime reports. We have throughput reports. And we have response time reports. All of the output we took a quick look at the last time. And once again, we have that information. Custom graphs, overtime. Go back to dashboard. And so there we are. Output just as before. So you can see running in an external mode, execution mode if you will, we were able to produce the test and test results and analysis reports. So the next thing to do is to analyze the results and determine how good the test was, what did the test reveal, what actions need to be taken to improve performance if performance was found negative. We're done with this lab. Thank you for your time. My time has ended for this session. I thank you for yours. Join me in the next video.